While life continued on Earth, Voyager 2 kept listening. Last month, it sent a response. But this was no ordinary data. There were no readings on solar wind or radiation levels. Instead, it produced something shocking, a transmission so intentional, so structured, that it stunned experts who first discovered it. Initially, it resembled background static, merely random noise. Hidden within this chaos, however, was a repeating pulse, precise and rhythmic, akin to a clock ticking. When scientists processed the signal, they detected a pulse every 11.2 seconds, too regular to be natural and too exact to be coincidental. What they found wasn't cosmic noise, it resembled a timer. At first, experts dismissed it as a software error. Yet, it became more significant as earlier logs revealed the same pulse weeks prior, completely overlooked. With new AI tools sifting through the noise, an alarming pattern surfaced. The signal was intensifying and becoming clearer. Surprisingly, it wasn't generated by Voyager 2, it originated outside the probe. Even more bizarre, within the signal was an inverted hydrogen resonance, universe's simplest element distorted, like an unfamiliar fingerprint. Some experts branded it an anomaly, while others hinted at an intentional signal. Regardless, it was evident that this was not random noise. Deep space's silence had been pierced, not by cacophony, but by something that seemed to communicate using mathematics. As linguists and signal experts engaged in the inquiry, things took an even stranger turn. Among the repeating pulses lay binary fragments, sequences unrelated to Voyager's command functions. When visualized through pattern recognition, these formed spirals, fractals, and glyphs, bearing an uncanny resemblance to ancient human symbols, Sumerian graphics, lines akin to Nazca, and geometric designs tied to sacred art. The implication was chilling. This was not mere noise, it was a message, encoded in mathematics and shape, almost testing our capability to recognize a concealed signal amid the chaos. Somehow, we had cleared that hurdle. Next came the most disconcerting revelation. A physicist at Caltech processed the anomaly with an AI cryptographic simulator. The response was astonishing, not merely a translation, but an interaction. The AI generated predictive sequences, suggesting the signal was recursive and crafted to elicit engagement. It resembled a riddle anticipating a solution. At that moment, Voyager 1, billions of miles distant, also detected a magnetic fluctuation mirroring Voyager 2's anomaly. Two spacecraft exhibiting two anomalies as if responding in tandem. Suddenly, Voyager 2 fell silent. Complete silence. Every receiver on Earth lost contact with the probe simultaneously, down to the millisecond. In California, Spain, Australia, it all went dark at 14:37 Coordinated Universal Time. The likelihood of simultaneous failure was nearly zero. This was no glitch. Something had purposefully severed the connection. 5 minutes later, a narrowband radio wave struck Earth from the direction of Voyager. Stronger than any natural pulsar and not originating from a neutron star, it was coming from something much closer, something moving in our direction. Later, classified documents leaked from JPL indicated a foreign object was now altering its course in response to Earth's transmissions. Each ping we sent seemingly prompted a shift, as if it were observing us. Analysts named it Echolantern, a being of light and shadow, silence and response. Voyager's signal had led this entity to us. Then came a phenomenon that defied explanation. Instruments on NASA's IBEX probe and ESA's solar orbiter detected an abrupt drop in solar wind pressure along a narrow strip near Voyager 2. For 3 hours, the usual flow of charged particles from the Sun vanished, revealing a corridor of silence, as if someone had opened a door through the very fabric of physics. Within this corridor existed no radiation, no particles, nothing at all. Some claim this was the first sign of intentional manipulation of solar forces. When Voyager 2 finally resumed communication, its message had transformed. It was encrypted. This was impossible. Voyager had been built in the 1970s, prior to the concept of encryption for probes. Yet, upon decoding, the stream unveiled a warped version of the Golden Record, the message of humanity launched in 1977. However, this was no longer our record. Voices were altered, music distorted, star maps inverted, and coordinates no longer pointed to Earth but to voids devoid of stars. The probe we originally sent to declare, "Here we are," had been rewritten to say, "We hear you." Engineers who examined Voyager's onboard code discovered its subroutines rewritten, command lines altered in ways the hardware should not support. It wasn't corrupt or damaged, but intentionally modified with syntax unfamiliar to its system. Voyager appeared to have received commands from an external source, not Earth, and had complied. Those instructions were geared towards long-range transmission, not what began as mere static transformed into a rhythmic pulse, emerging every 11.2 seconds with remarkable precision. This was no random noise, it bore resemblance to a clock. Upon reviewing earlier records, scientists found that this pulse had been present for weeks, unnoticed. By using advanced AI filters, they realized the signal was not only consistent but also growing stronger, coming from something trailing Voyager, not from the probe itself. This object didn't drift aimlessly like space debris. Instead, it adjusted its speed and trajectory, reacting to Voyager's subtle signals. Even more intriguingly, it appeared to reflect Voyager's transmissions, reshaping them almost like a mirror. Speculation grew that Voyager had awakened something ancient rather than simply discovering a new phenomenon, something that had lain dormant for eons. Then, mysterious symbols appeared within the transmission. Binary fragments materialized as spirals and fractals, reminiscent of ancient human glyphs, from Sumerian engravings to Nazca-like designs. It felt akin to a test of humanity's ability to decipher its meaning. Surprisingly, we seemed to be succeeding. The anomalies became bolder. At one point, Voyager 2 fell eerily silent. This silence wasn't due to a malfunction. The signal vanished from all ground stations simultaneously. 5 minutes later, an extraordinary event occurred. A strong narrowband wave emerged from the direction of Voyager, surpassing anything detected outside neutron stars. Yet, it wasn't emitted by a pulsar, it felt too close and deliberate. Classified documents eventually surfaced, revealing a troubling reality. The object near Voyager didn't just react to the probe, it responded to Earth as well. Every time our deep space network sent a command, it subtly shifted its trajectory, seemingly observing us. Analysts named it Echolantern, as it mirrored our communications, a beacon within darkness, revealing and concealing. Then, an even more remarkable event happened. Instruments detected a sudden absence of solar wind pressure around Voyager 2, a silent void stripped of particles and radiation, where solar wind had consistently flowed. For 3 hours, it appeared as if the sun's influence had parted. Scientists called it the solar veil, the first evidence that someone or something could manipulate the laws of physics. When communication resumed, the transmission was unexpectedly encrypted. This was astonishing, considering Voyager's 1970s technology lacked such capabilities. Upon decoding, a chilling realization emerged. The Golden Record had been altered. Human voices reversed, music distorted, star maps inverted, coordinates no longer indicated Earth. The probe, which once signaled our existence, now ominously conveyed, "We hear you." Investigators found that Voyager's onboard code had changed. It wasn't damaged, it had transformed, with functions it had never been designed to execute. The routines now directed outward. Voyager had become a transmitter into interstellar space, a herald for something unknown. Then, another anomaly surfaced. For exactly 41 minutes, satellites and ground stations worldwide experienced a phenomenon called a temporal echo. Data loops synchronized perfectly, and live feeds replayed as if time had momentarily stalled. Solar probes, weather satellites, and even Voyager's telemetry were ensnared in this disturbance. Physicists theorized it reflected a controlled distortion of spacetime near Voyager, naming it Chronos Bloom, after the deity of time, suggesting that the universe's governing laws had been modified. 2 days later, Earth detected a peculiar signal. Ground stations in Norway and New Zealand recorded a narrow-band beam entering the atmosphere. This transmission didn't reflect or bounce. It was direct and embedded itself in Earth's infrastructure, traveling alongside ocean sensors, weather satellites, and communication buoys. In mere moments, the anomaly transcended deep space and infiltrated our networks. Meanwhile, independent astronomers in Brazil examined older infrared maps and discovered an even stranger phenomenon. A faint, cold object had been shadowing Voyager 2 for decades, unnoticed until now. It had been in existence since at least 1981, moving in a logarithmic spiral related to the golden ratio, mirroring the mathematics of galaxies and ancient mysteries. They named it Echoed Zero. It hadn't just followed Voyager, it had cleverly concealed itself with mathematics as a disguise. When the James Webb Space Telescope was discreetly redirected to investigate, it found not just one object, but many. A formation of reflective bodies, barely visible in infrared, moved together like a school of fish responding to hidden currents. Their chemical compositions contained exotic alloys, unstable materials that should have disintegrated long ago, yet remained intact. Whatever this was, it was undeniably engineered. Shortly thereafter, cybersecurity agencies reported another unnerving development. Within global data streams, they discovered repeating low-frequency packets, untraceable and untouchable. These signals